Tonight, from firearms to fentanyl, investigators allege the suspects rounded up in multiple raids were behind a long list of crimes.
Drug trafficking, numerous robberies, and are believed to be responsible for several murders.
Toronto police have charged dozens of people under Project Kraken. Plus,
he was a great kid, always smiling, made sure everyone else around him was happy.
A community mourns after a 17-year-old boy was shot to death the day of his graduation. And it was a celebration unlike anything the city has ever seen. But for one woman, the Raptors championship parade was unforgettable for the wrong reasons. We'll bring you her story on her road to recovery. Good evening, I'm Talia Ricci. He was killed the same day he graduated high school. 17-year-old Jaden Simpson was shot in his Scarborough neighborhood last night. Paramedics couldn't save him as he lay dying near Danzig Street. As Ali Chiasson tells us, his family is searching for answers, and so are the police.
The air on Danzig Street is heavy, with humidity and grief. This is where 17-year-old Jaden Simpson was gunned down last night.
Obviously, people are very upset.
Just wait for him and then we'll just pick up there.
The suspect information we have at this time is limited. It's a male black, 18 years of age, thin, wearing a black hoodie.
The gunman sprayed bullets. Police aren't saying whether Simpson was the intended target.
Always smiling, made sure everyone else around him was happy. He was an amazing kid, and it sucks to see him go.
Neighbors say lots of people were out last night. Simpson and his friends were celebrating having graduated high school that same day.
Ms. Boyer, Ms. Smith, Ms. Parker, Mr. Hill.
Many of his teachers showed up today.
Jaden had such a bright future ahead of him. You know, he just graduated last night from Laurier Collegiate, and he was on his way to George Brown to be a very productive member of society.
We've been asked to give the family space to grieve. The last time there was such a media presence on this street specifically was back in 2012 when shots rang out at a block party. 2 people were killed then.
We don't want this to be linked to those tough times. We want Jaden to be representative of someone who was thoughtful, who was kind, who was extremely great to his siblings, and then who was moving forward in life. And for this to happen, we don't want any young person, doesn't matter what community they belong to.
After the block party shooting, Toronto Community Housing installed new security cameras. Toronto police are hoping Simpson's killer is captured in the footage, which will hopefully lead to an eventual arrest. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
We have an update to a suspicious death we told you about yesterday. 2 people have now been charged with first-degree murder in the death of 61-year-old Johnson Reyes. He was found stabbed to death on a balcony at an apartment near York Mills and the DVP. Brian and Everett Rintoul were arrested today and will appear in court tomorrow. Toronto police revealing details today on Project Kraken. Dozens of people are now facing numerous charges, and investigators say there are links to organized crime. As Magda Gabriselassie tells us, the scope of this investigation stretched far beyond the GTA.
23 guns on display. This is just some of what was seized during the 8-month investigation Project Kraken. The target was the Chesterlee Gang, their associates, and criminal activities.
Investigators were able to substantiate and now allege that the Chesterlee Gang were involved in extensive gun and drug activity.
Police seized more than $390,000 of drugs, including cocaine and fentanyl, not on display today.
A lot of the fentanyl is coming from abroad. We're getting a lot of, through us with the RCMP, we've been dealing with it for the last number of years, mail order packages. We've been doing a lot of work with our international partners to try to stem that flow into Canada.
This investigation also included the arrests of some tow truck drivers in connection with armed robberies.
In 2 robberies in particular, tow trucks smashed their way through the front of jewelry stores and firearms were discharged.
36 people were charged in this week's raids. Although they didn't specify who, police did say organized crime is part of this. James Dubrow is an expert in the field. He says among those charged, 4 share the last name of an infamous mafia family.
The Camiso crime family is one of the longest, most notorious Ndrangheta Calabrian Mafia crime families in southern Ontario, and involved all over the world in Canada, but they went to jail for a long time for a number of contract killings and other bombings and what have you. They've been in the drug business, cocaine and other drugs, heroin, for decades.
Magda Gebrselassie, CBC News, Toronto.
It's almost been 1 year since Reese Fallon was killed during the shooting on the Danforth. Now, a close friend of Fallon's is giving back with a scholarship in her name. She spoke to us on Metro Morning today.
The reaction to it was just incredible. We raised so much money in such a short time. And it's making sure, Reese is not going to be forgotten. Here we are, a year later, and we're talking about her. And I think we're going to be talking about her every year going forward. And students who never got the opportunity to get to know her will get to know what she was like. And I think that's really important.
The fundraiser was launched the day after Fallon's death. It has raised more than $80,000. A portion of that was given to Jessica Reynolds this morning as part of the Reese Fallon Legacy Scholarship. The annual award will be given to a student from Malvern Collegiate, the school that Fallon graduated from shortly before her death. Residents of City Place are going to have to wait a little longer for new schools in their community. The schools originally intended to open in the fall and will now be delayed indefinitely. Kelda Yoon has more.
Parents in City Place have been anticipating the completion of this multi-use building since construction began almost 2 years ago. When complete, it will house 2 elementary schools, Jean Lum Public School and Bishop McConnell Catholic School. But yesterday, parents got this notice from the TDSB that the facility won't be ready to open in time for the first day of school in September. It's said this is due to the recent Ontario plumbers and sheet metal workers strike, which has had an impact on the construction schedule. Although this delay is beyond our control, we want to apologize for the inconvenience.
It is what it is.
You're taking it in stride.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna stress over it.
Alex Bavel's son, Anson, was set to attend the new Catholic school.
This is a big plus. I'm so happy for it. So if it's delayed for a month or 2, well, they do their best.
As of now, it's not known when the schools will open, but other parents in the area are also taking the news in stride.
It's normal to hear it's delayed.
The good thing about it, we do see the progress that was going on into the school.
Another good thing, there is a plan in place. Students enrolled in Jean Lum Public School will be bused here to Nelson Mandela Park Public School, about 15 minutes away from City Place. While students from Bishop McConnell Catholic Elementary School will be bused here to St. Mary Catholic School, about 5 minutes away. And that's a relief for parents.
Some were like, oh, is it gonna open? Is it not? What are we gonna do? And when they got the note, was it today or yesterday? They were like, oh, okay, there's a plan B.
When complete, both schools will serve 550 students each from kindergarten to grade 8. Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Weather specialist Jeff Harrington joins us now for a first look at our forecast and hoping that today isn't indicative of what the rest of the weekend will look like.
A slight chance of showers on Canada Day, Talia. We'll get through to that in just a second. We have had heavier pockets of rain tonight. That will continue throughout the overnight. Maybe some thunderstorms mixed in there. Fresh Sunday and Canada Day rain. Yeah, we'll go over all of that. That's on the menu tonight. Take you to just a bit from now. Midnight, still dealing with those showers. An hour later, a heavier pocket of precipitation toward the east end. So think Oshawa. Then it clears out for Saturday morning. Should get some peaks of sun by Saturday afternoon, but still the risk of some showers. Really widespread, about 5 to 10 millimeters is what we can expect over the next little while. And now by the numbers, 18 will be our low tonight, 28 tomorrow, Talia. But again, just that risk that we could see a shower in the morning and afternoon.
Okay, thanks. We'll check in a little bit.
You got it.
The Doug Ford government suffered a setback today at the hands of Ontario's highest court. The Court of Appeal ruled against the government's challenge of the federal carbon pricing plan. Lorenda Redekop has more on the decision and the government's next step.
Hey, hey! It's good news for young people who've been rallying for months, calling for more action on climate change.
I'm happy for once that Justin Trudeau's actually doing something, but I'm not so glad that our other government is voting against it.
Today, the Ontario Court of Appeal ruled carbon pricing is constitutional, as the environment is a national concern. It also said the carbon pricing scheme is not actually a tax. Premier Doug Ford says his government is disappointed. In a statement, he says the federal government's carbon tax is making life more expensive for Ontarians and is putting jobs and businesses at risk.
You're paying
He hasn't only been attacking carbon pricing through the courts, also taking out attack ads. The opposition wants it to end.
He's decided to waste the money on this political stunt to help the federal Conservatives in the coming election. It's crazy for us to continue throwing money away on this court case.
But one appeal court judge disagreed with the ruling. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation was an intervener on the side of the province.
This was not a slam dunk. There was a dissenting opinion, so the debate is still very much ongoing in this province.
For environmental groups, it's a victory.
We now have the highest court in Ontario saying if the provincial government will not act, the federal government not only can, but should step in and set those minimum standards to ensure that Canada is playing its part.
Youth unstoppable! While they're happy with this decision, young activists hope the federal government will do more when it comes to the environment.
We really want to see more than empty promises, and as the federal election comes up, I really hope that we see an acceleration, that this becomes a centerpiece of the debate.
This fight is far from over. The Saskatchewan government is already taking this issue to the Supreme Court, and this afternoon, the Ontario government said it plans to do the same. Lorenda Redicomp, CBC News, Toronto.
1 minute, I think I was listening to John Tory, and then the next minute, I had people on top of me.
Trampled during a triumphant celebration. Coming up, we'll bring you this woman's story and who she's blaming for what happened. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the massive parade and rally to honor the Raptors. Since then, there have been lots of questions about planning and security issues surrounding the event. Tonight, one woman is telling CBC News how the historic celebration turned into the most frightening day of her life. Angelina King spoke with her outside the hospital she's recovering in.
It's a blessing that I don't remember all of it, but it was very scary.
What Francesca Galati does remember is chaos, a stampede of people running toward her.
1 minute, I think I was listening to John Tory, and then the next minute, I had people on top of me.
That's when things get fuzzy. She was trampled after the shooting near Nathan Phillips Square. She broke her collarbone and tibia.
I'm lucky to be alive. It could have been a lot worse.
Galati says her friend called 911 and says they waited about 40 minutes for an ambulance.
So I thought was crazy. I don't think they had a plan. I think that the fact that they had no barricades anywhere for the parade route, and that just caused more people to follow it and to inundate the place with people, that was scary. Really scary.
She calls it poor planning and says she didn't see any police or paramedics in her area.
I truly believe it could have been prevented, 100%, with maybe an extra day or two of planning to make sure everything was in place.
Officials didn't respond to requests for comment about Galati's situation, but did address concerns around planning in a statement yesterday, saying groups met days later to discuss the need for a more proactive celebration plan in the future, including parade logistics, improved public safety measures, and improved information sharing for those in attendance. It also says an organizing committee with an events and security consultant will be created to plan future celebrations. Still, there are questions about this event. This personal injury lawyer says if legal action takes place, MLSE and the city would be responsible.
But we'd have to look at, did they take reasonable care in the planning and the running of the event to ensure that there was no unusual dangers, that they were not negligent, that what they did was reasonable in the circumstances. And that remains to be seen.
Galati says she's considering legal action, but right now her main focus is on getting better. She hopes to be back home and out of the hospital by the end of next month. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
And an update to a story we brought you yesterday about the baby who died after suffering medical distress at the Raptors parade. The Toronto Police Union says the massive crowds were a challenge for officials to get to the victim. But the city, police, and Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment refute that account. In a statement, the groups say the baby arrived to hospital 6 minutes after police responded. And sadly, the infant passed away on June 19th, 2 days after the parade. It went on to say that reports that neither medics nor police could get to the baby are unfounded. And more trouble from Raptors celebrations. Toronto police are searching for a man who jumped on several cars at Yonge and Eglinton during a large celebration after the Raptors' NBA final victory. Police say the suspect caused significant damage to the cars, and anyone with information is asked to contact police. Raptors fans lined up outside the Scotiabank Arena this morning to buy Drake OVO Championship merchandise. The lineup snaked all the way to the front of Union Station. The collaboration with Real Sports got fans camping out all night for the limited edition clothing. The store tweeted that they have sold out of their collection.
What better way to celebrate the Canada Day long weekend than to see the Rolling Stones? They'll be here at Burroughs Creek tomorrow for their one and only Canadian stop on their current tour. I'm Greg Ross, just outside of Orillia. Coming up, I'll show you the setup for this massive outdoor concert.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Well, you know this legendary band. This was their performance in Toronto 6 years ago. And they're back tomorrow just north of Barrie for their only Canadian stop on their North American tour. Greg Ross caught up with the production director for the Rolling Stones.
They are just putting the finishing touches on the stage here at Burroughs Creek for this massive Rolling Stones concert, which will happen here tomorrow. 60 to 70,000 people will cram into this venue to watch the Rolling Stones on their only Canadian stop. And what a setup this is. Just to put this into perspective for you, this setup takes 4 days to do. 3 days just to set up the stage area, another day for production. They bring in, the Rolling Stones have 125 crew members that travel with them. They bring in another 125 locals to help with this setup. Here's Dale Schurseth. You are the man that helps put this together. You've been doing this since 1994 with the Rolling Stones. Oh, the stories I'm sure you could tell us. And we'll obviously share with the camera right now. Not going to happen. Let's just talk about this.
All I have is good things to say. It's a brilliant organization to work for. You can't judge any other act but besides them. They are the Rolling Stones, and no one will ever do it like them.
What a massive setup here. You've got 4 giant screens. You've got just thousands of lights here. What's it take just to power this place?
It takes about 1 million watts of power, and we all push forward to make it work. We all get in here, and today we're setting up all the production, and which will go up, like you were saying. There's 4 large video walls. They'll go up, and then all the lighting that builds in within it. The PA, there's 4 line arrays of PA there, and then there's 4 more out here to fill the stadium. And yeah, it'll be a good day's work. We'll all should be done here by 6 this evening and getting out of here.
And then ready for that big show tomorrow. And plenty of stage space here for Mick, and he likes to work the stage, doesn't he?
Mick likes to work the stage, and that's a great thing. So he's in great health and great shape, and he's ready to do it.
75 years old. It's incredible to think that he's going to be running around that stage tomorrow, putting on a big show, and we're expecting 60 to 70,000 people to pack this place. They do love Canada, don't they? Particularly Toronto.
Yeah, they love Toronto. They love Canada. They have no objection to Canada. It's just not part of the run right now. Who knows what will happen in the future.
Well, Dale, thanks for doing this. Again, just putting the finishing touches here on this setup, and tomorrow it'll be Mick Jagger, it'll be Keith Richards, and the Rolling Stones right there on that stage.
Jeff's back now with our extended forecast, and I think I saw at least a little teaser of one sunny day in the long weekend.
Exactly, and so we're chasing the sunshine. We'll have it for a big bulk of the long weekend, Talia, but we're also chasing that 30-degree day. Still haven't gotten there yet. So the last time we hit 30 degrees was actually more than 9 months ago, September 21st. The earliest time we've hit 30 degrees was April 25th, and the latest, August 7th. And in fact, in that year, 1996, that was the only 30-degree day. Plenty of heat, though, towards southwestern Ontario. Those folks still under a heat warning. Highs in the 30s, lows in the 20s, and that will be the theme really through the holiday long weekend. In terms of that precipitation, still dealing with it through the overnight hours, the wee hours of Saturday. But look at this. We're now Saturday, 8 a.m. starts to clear out. It will be a cloudy start to the day. There's those showers for southwestern Ontario toward the afternoon, maybe east end, west end. So we've got to keep that risk in there Saturday morning and afternoon. Sunday's looking decent. Lots of sunshine. Talia, you were right. But Monday, we got to talk about this. Maybe the chance for some showers. And look at the timing here, 7 o'clock. So a few hours later when some of those light shows go on, could be bad timing. But check back with us on this one because it is subject to change. Temperatures overnight, that risk of thunderstorms towards southwestern Ontario, about a 40% chance. For the afternoon tomorrow, 32 for Windsor. It's going to feel about 40. Take you to the GTA and the Golden Horseshoe. Risk of thunderstorms here as well. Better shot for it, about a 60% chance. Lows 18, except along the Golden Horseshoe will dip down to 20, and 28 will be the high for tomorrow. Again, about a 30% pop probability of precipitation for those light showers in the morning and the afternoon. All right, away we go now with your 5-day forecast. So Sunday, really beautiful day, 25 degrees, breezy, but the winds are going to shift around to the north. So that's really going to give us a fresh day. There's that threat of showers potentially on Canada Day Monday, but a 40% chance at this point. And then look, next week we heat rate back up. Tuesday, 28. Wednesday, we're up to 30, and it's going to feel about 36. So Talia, it looks like our first 30-degree day will come next week in July.
Nice. And as far as this weekend goes, I'll keep my beach day to Sunday. So thanks for that.
You got it.
A Saskatoon man may have done the most Canadian thing ever this week. He bought a canoe using only Canadian Tire money. Thomas Turfloth says it took him 3 years to save 941 Canadian Tire dollars. He says it started as a joke on social media, but then strangers began donating to his cause.
Some reason that I don't really understand, it just kind of like resonated with people. Like it wasn't just that they liked it or they thought it was funny, but they wanted to like contribute.
Turfloth says he still has some Canadian Tire money left over and plans to use it on a canoe cover. And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching. You can stay caught up on news anytime on our website, cbcnews.ca. And we'll leave you with someone you may know using one of the city pools to cool off today. Yep, that's John Tory jumping in with all of his clothes on, trying to keep it cool on this hot day. Have a great weekend, everyone. Happy Canada Day. Good night.